within 24 hours of being placed.
Hello, my name is Doug Watson. I work for CMT Engineering Laboratories here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you briefly about some forensic tests that we can run on hardened concrete to determine the mechanism of failure. First, we test to see how the concrete was delivered to the job. So we run an air void analysis on the base concrete. This tells us the air content and the structure of the air that was delivered to the project by the supplier. Second, we can test that sample with phenolphthalein, and that tells us the water-cement ratio on the surface. So we can see if the timing of the finishing process was incorrect, if the bleed water was worked back into the surface, or if there was additional water added to the surface and worked in for finishing aid. And third, we can tell about how it was cured.
To minimize the chance of sealing the surface, keep the bull float flat as it is pushed forward and retrieved. A good way to test to see if the surface is sealed is to leave a small area unfloated. If the unfloated area bleeds and the floated area does not, the surface is sealed. If you think that the concrete may be sealed, use a wood bull float to open the surface and allow the bleeding to occur. Always use care around electrical wires when metal handles are used on your bull float or other tools. Never use a Fresno on exterior concrete. A Fresno will seal the surface and cause delamination. After the concrete is floated, the edging process can begin. The slightly rounded edge on a slab will be less likely to chip when the forms are removed or when pressure is applied to it. If the joints of the slab are to be hand-tooled, they should not be cut until the bleed water has dissipated from the surface of the concrete. These joints should be properly placed, and the joint depth should be at least 1 inch or 1/4 the depth of the section, whichever is greater. Before the final finish work can begin, the bleed water must evaporate from the surface. If the surface is floated or troweled while bleed water is present or still migrating toward the surface, the slab could craze, scale, or have dusting problems. Hot, dry, windy days can be deceiving, since the warm air carries the moisture away as soon as it migrates to the surface. The concrete may appear to be ready to float and trowel when it is actually still bleeding. A simple test for this condition is to lay a small, non-absorptive board on the slab. Remove it after 3 to 5 minutes. If there are beads of water on the concrete surface, it is still bleeding, and finishing operations should be suspended until the bleeding has stopped. The hand float is used to remove small irregularities and to bring the fine material to the surface, which is needed for the edging and the troweling process. Floating is required before any troweling can be done. A trowel is used to produce a dense and smooth surface. For durable exterior concrete, the use of the trowel should be minimal. Overworking the surface while finishing will reduce the air content in the surface layer, making it susceptible to scaling in freezing conditions. The surface should be floated and troweled just enough to get a smooth, flat surface that will accept a non-slip broom finish. A wet broom should not be used. If the broom must be rinsed out, be sure that all excess water is removed prior to texturing. Even the small amount of water that can cling to a broom can destroy the durability of a concrete surface, so make sure to remove all excess water from the broom. Curing is the maintaining of an adequate moisture content and temperature in concrete at early ages, so that it can develop properties the mixture was designed to achieve. Cure the concrete as soon as the finishing is complete. In order for concrete to gain its maximum strength and durability, it must be cured properly. Curing depends on 3 factors: time, temperature, and moisture. Concrete that is kept cool and moist after finishing has a high probability of attaining optimum strength gain. Concrete that is not cured properly allows moisture to evaporate quickly, stopping the hydration process and producing a lower strength and less durable concrete. There are several ways to cure concrete, But the most popular and cost-effective is the use of a commercial liquid curing compound. The curing compound forms a continuous film that maintains moisture levels in the concrete. The curing compound must be applied at the proper dosage rate as prescribed by the manufacturer. Curing concrete in hot weather is important to provide predictable strength gain, improved durability, and appearance. In cold weather climates, the use of air-entrained concrete when exposed to freezing and thawing conditions is critical. All subgrades should be kept free of ice and snow and at a temperature above freezing prior to placement. Place the concrete at the lowest practical slump and provide adequate protection from freezing. Early age concrete should be protected from freezing and thawing until it has attained adequate strength. ACI 306 recommends maintaining a concrete temperature of 55 degrees for at least 72 hours. There is a general misconception that concrete will not freeze during the first night. This is simply not true. In fact, during cold temperatures, concrete is actually more vulnerable to freezing during the first 24 hours. Frost protection should be discussed with the owner or builder so it is clearly understood who will be responsible for this important part of the concreting process. Street snow removal efforts often incorporate the use of these salt-laden de-icers. As a result, snow clinging to the underside of cars can melt and result in salt damage to the concrete surface. To help offset these adverse effects, concrete should be protected with a liquid concrete sealer after the proper curing time of 28 days. Resealing concrete is recommended at least every 2 years. The requirements for placing and finishing concrete are simple and specific. We encourage home builders to carefully consider the qualifications of their concrete crew and make sure that no shortcuts are being taken. Quality can be elusive. Once we have lost the concept of quality, it can be hard to reclaim. Clements is committed to producing the highest quality, most durable concrete available. If we can be of assistance, please feel free to contact one of our sales or technical representatives.